Okay, now I'm going to begin again, but with a different object, which is a bunch of marbles, super glued, not super glued, but hot glued together. And there's the light source. There's my feet. And here's the going in to look at the light. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Now I'll take you to the light source. Oh, the orb is right over it. I wanted to show you the light as it comes orb light from the light, which I always think of that as a photon of light. Now, as it goes out, let's see, there's a little color coded. This is what I see with the naked eye. These little spots of little islands of light with certain colors around them. And there, I see the landscape of it, not just through one peek hole of a orb. But as you see, I moved the camera and the glass orb, well, the glass that I get this from, around together so I can stay within the same orb and look and see what all is in that one. And now I'm going to go real far out away from the light. And you see there's all these little things. Really, really, really fascinating. Now I'm moving the camera, but it's showing the same thing. Like it didn't move away from it. There's another one. There's another one. There's one a little different looking. This is my new hobby, filming light. Trying to get the world to wake up and realize that light is what we are, and we're swimming around in a vast sea of light. And light and sound, but I don't get a whole lot of the sound, except my own voice. Some of the orbs will show quite a different scene, like this one's not showing those little pockets of light, but this one is. I don't hold my hand perfectly still because that's really hard to do. But anyway, there's a lot of pulsing and vibrating going on inside these orbs. And no matter how I would hold it still as I can, it's still going to move. And the colors are going to morph from one color to another. I move around because that's the natural thing to do. Nothing is ever just perfectly still. I mean, I've been told that inside of this pencil or this rock there are atoms, but they are moving at a tremendous rate. So you really can't get anything perfectly still if you could see it at its tiniest. Now there's an orb that has in it those little circles. Now, oh, my hand's getting tired. See, this one's flickering, a lot of activity going on in there. Some of it is me moving, because I move around to see the different things that are in it. little smaller. You see each and every one of the shiny spots on this glass, on these marbles. It looks just white until you get in a little closer, and then you see the color as you go in closer. And then after you go into any one of the orbs, if you move the orb and the camera around together, you see that this color pattern just continues on with all the most gorgeous colors. I mean, I think they are just fantastic colors. And now I can go to another orb or another one or another. But when I go back to the light, which is right there, and I put the glass in front of it, and I get that first orb that comes from the light, right there, that one. That's the one that has all the little circles with the white centers. That first orb that comes out. Then I move the camera and the glass further out so that I'm not in so much of the light as I was when I was closer to the light. And I still get color and different patterns. There's still some of those little circles and things like that color cord right there. I do think there is something to this string theory because, you know, these are strings of light that are color-coded. Who knows what they mean? It's really anybody's guess. I'll go into another orb. Sometimes I come across real dark places in the orb. Let's look at this one for a while. It's really morphing its colors. Go into that one. Go into this one that has the little spots. Not so many. Here's one that's got a real good one. Taking it way out into the darker area of the room. And there's another one of those spots. Several of them. I feel like a researcher of light who is discovering something that maybe is for the first time being shown. That makes me feel real special. But I've loved light for so long, and I've read so many books about light. And God knows I love light. And I like the dark light too, because it defines the light. When I take the still pictures and I put them on my computer, the only adjustment I make to the picture is to lessen some of the light, because when I let the shadows come in, the darker parts, it defines what is in the orb. Because the light can be so bright you can't see things with clarity unless you get some dark in there. Just like any artist, that you can't take away their black or they can't do their art so well. They need that black. We need the dark. And, you know, some people say, well, that's negative. We don't need the negative. Well, we do, because the negative is the feminine principle, And we need women. I don't know why we're called the negative, but it doesn't mean good and bad. It just means, well, it's kind of like you go into a dark room when you're making pictures the old-timey way, where they used to have to go into the dark to develop the picture. And they had these negatives. And it takes the negative to show the positive picture. It's the birthing place, the darkness. And that's the feminine. Giving birth to these ideas. There's a little bit of a dark spot. My hand's getting really tired. I like to go the whole 15 minutes I have. Well, I do love color too. I've always loved color. I'll take it in a little smaller. All of these shiny spots come out of the light. And think about it this way. These shiny spots on the glass are collections of a concentration of light that is so concentrated it shines. And you could liken that to people, in that if we have a lot of love, we'll be shining examples to the world of beauty. Well, I'm going to end this now. My hand's getting really tired.